To come in to record, we're going to go ahead and set up our Pro Tools session. So let's go ahead and do that. I have a template that I use for recording, but in our case, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the process that it takes to go ahead and create a completely brand new session. File, new session. Let's call this recording lesson. WAV is the native file format. In this case, I'm on a PC, that's fine. Sample rate, 44.1 kilohertz. And in bit depth, 16-bit and 24-bit. 24-bit will give you higher recording quality. For our purposes, 16-bit is fine, uses up a little bit less memory. That is the default for this system. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Notice that there are no tracks. We're going to go ahead and create two new tracks. In this case, we're going to label one Masco. The other one we're going to label Kalamazoo, Kala for short. Now we need to set up a track new, in this case, audio track but stereo, because we're going to be bringing in our backing track. Create, okay, so that's stereo, where the other ones were mono. We also want to create a master fader. So in this case, we're going to go to track, new, in this case, stereo, master fader. This is like your master volume when it comes to the recording. Let's go ahead and bring in our track. So import audio. In this case, I already have it on my computer. So let's look for it. Here we go, Jam Tracks. And the one we're looking for is Texas Swing in D. So let's go ahead and take a look for Texas Swing in, actually it should be G, I'm sorry. So Jam 1, Texas Swing in G. I'm going to double click that so that I can bring it into the session. I'm going to hit done. It's going to ask me where I want to put this, and I'm going to say go ahead and use that current folder. Now it's bringing in that audio. Okay, our Masco was set to analog or input 1, so that's fine. Our Kalamazoo should be set to input 2, which this is, and then this is just our audio. In this case, the original track, so we don't need to do anything with that. If I now go on my device, I make sure that phantom power is not enabled because we're not using the condenser microphone. This is the level for track 1. This is the level for track 2. We're going to leave that off for right now. I'm going to go ahead and record enable track 1, that's the Masco. Record enable track 2, that's the Kalamazoo. And now we're going to go ahead and get the levels for these amplifiers. Okay, I've now turned on the amplifiers, and let's go ahead and set our levels. We don't need this guy to be so big. So now I'm going to be bringing my volume up for the Masco. Until I get a peak that is close to the yellow. I don't want it to go into red because that's going to distort. I'm going to go ahead and turn the volume of the actual sound that's going to my speakers right now. I don't really need to have that be very loud because it's very loud in this room to begin with. All right, so when I cup up the mic, that's too strong. So I'm going to back off the input gain. That's pretty good. I can bring it up just a little bit. Good. I don't think Bill will be getting any louder than that. All right, so this guy is set. Now let's go ahead and bring up our level. Just for a random level, I'm going to bring it up to the same level as the other one. Bring it down a tiny bit. All right. All right, now that we have both of our tracks set up, let's go ahead and have a little fun and record here. Go ahead and hit record, and away we go. I don't need to have these loud, and actually I probably just want to turn those down. So all we're hearing is the backing music. I'm going to play it just through these monitor speakers. In our application, it's just fine. I don't need to use headsets or a pair of headphones to have good separation in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and just record the opening phrases. Maybe one chorus worth. down here. I'm going to get rid of the record enable, and I'm going to bring up the, let's hear how the Masco sounds by itself. I'm going to save the session. We haven't done any EQ, so all we're hearing is the amplifier by itself. So we're going to turn the CD down. Right now is I'm turning up my monitor speakers. The CD music is too loud still. So the harmonic is pretty bassy right now. We're definitely going to need to add some EQ. Let's go ahead and solo the Masco. Yeah, it's pretty bassy. Let's hear what the Kalamazoo sounds like. I'll solo the Kalamazoo. Oh, that's pretty bassy too. So we're going to need to add some EQ to this. Before we add the EQ, let's just go ahead and listen to what they sound like by themselves. With the CD, that is. Okay, so it's too dark, it's not coming through well. So what we need to do is go ahead and solo one of these instruments. We'll solo the Masco. I can go ahead and set this to loop. So I'm going to go to the playback. In this case, right click and click loop. So it's just going to loop this section. So let's go ahead and now add a plugin. And what a plugin is going to be is, in this case up here, I'm going to plug in EQ. Let's do a 4-band EQ. What this is going to allow us to do now is to EQ this amplifier to not be so bassy. We need a little bit more punch in the mid and mid-highs. So that's getting rid of the bass. It's customary just to roll off the lowest lows and the highest highs so it gets rid of any signal noise that might be happening in the chain. Where we want to add is mostly in this range here. Okay, what's adding the sparkle for us is around the 4 to 5K. But we don't want so much of a spike right in that section. In this case, you notice it's green. We're going to go to this green colored area. We're going to go ahead and look at this goes left and right. In this case, this makes it more narrow, or that band is much more narrow, or this makes it much more broad. And broad is generally what we're looking for. So let's take a listen to it now. The problem is we're getting so loud that we're actually clipping. So this is the in, this is the out. We need to turn down our out. So I like the strongest area to be in the 4 to 5K range. Let's listen to the Masco and the backing music. That's better. Now we're getting more of that horn-like punch, and it's not so dark and muted. It's a little bit still too bassy for my taste, but we don't know how much bass Bill's going to have in his cup.